Richard Allen has been arrested and he was hiding in plain sight.
This is Reporter Room with Jessica Della Davies.
What's up, Reporter Room investigators? Boy, do I have a good case for you guys. We are talking about the Snapchat murder case. We're going to be talking about Richard Allen, who is a 50-year-old male who lives in Delphi, Indiana, and works there. And two girls, 13 and 14 years old, from Delphi, Indiana. This is a case of a wolf hiding in sheep's clothing. This bizarre mystery has stressed out the families of Abby and Libby for 5.5 years. And thanks to you guys, for keeping this case going, for keeping this case alive, these families will finally get justice. And Abby and Libby will finally have justice. So Richard Allen's been in court, and I'm going to go into more of the case in just a moment, so stay with me. But Richard Allen this week has been in court begging for a public defender because he's whining and complaining that because he's in jail, he is no longer an independent contractor, and he says that his wife has had to go into hiding. Well, you can understand why people are upset. This guy was their local CVS pharmacy technician. Yes, he has a license in Indiana. He's had a license as a pharmacy technician since 2018. So do you think he had to go through a background check to get that license? Probably. But this case has more to it than just a creepy late 40s to his early 50s guy who was hiding in plain sight. We also have a whole catfishing scheme that went on too, and I'm going to talk about that with you guys in just a moment, so please stay with me. Everything I'm sharing with you today is my opinion, and opinions are not facts, so please don't send any negativity to anyone, anytime, anywhere. Let's be kind to each other. This video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss a new video or a live stream, and let's get started. Let's talk about how this case became known as the Snapchat murders, because these little girls were brave. So Abby and Libby were two innocent teens who took a hiking trip in the abandoned Mohon High Bridge in Delphi on February 13th, 2017, just one day before Valentine's Day. And they were only supposed to be gone for a couple of hours, and they were supposed to meet up with their families, but this went horribly wrong because the girls did not show up at the designated meeting place. And on February 14th, Valentine's Day, the bodies of Libby and Abby were found. And police found the girls' bodies a short distance from the bridge on a trail very close to the bridge. So this case was named the Snapchat murders because Abby took a photo of Libby at around 2:17 p.m. and she posted it on her social media. And after Abby took this photo, a man approached the girls and can be heard in an audio telling them to go down the hill. Listen to this. And although his face isn't clear in the picture, it was enough to give authorities a general description. They knew it was a white older male. And I'm going to talk about the catfish scheme in just a moment, so please stay with me. Over the next 5.5 years, we got little snippets of information such as e-fits done by a sketch artist. The problem was the sketches didn't look anything alike, and this has led a lot of people to wonder if there is an accomplice to Richard Allen. Richard Allen, a 50-year-old CVS worker living in Delphi, broke into his neighbor's garage. Now, what he stole was not enough to charge him with anything major, but it is a felony to break in and enter someone else's property. So he got charged with a felony, and law enforcement was able to extract his DNA. They ran a cross-check, and lo and behold, there was a match to Libby and Abby's killer. Somehow, with everything going on around her, Libby had the presence of mind to film on her cell phone. So law enforcement had a grainy image. Look at this, a grainy image of this guy. So they knew a couple of things about him. They knew it was a male. They knew he was white. And they knew he was older. Let's talk about that catfish account, right? So this phony catfish account was set up. It used images of this guy who has nothing to do with the case. He was just a sock puppet image that they stole from an actual guy. And he posed himself as being a male model, and he was wealthy, and he owned all kinds of different cars. Things that may tweak the interest of an innocent 13 or 14-year-old girl who is online with him. And that's exactly what he did. So who is hiding behind this sock puppet account? It turns out that the guy behind the sock puppet account is a guy named Keegan Klein. And he was arrested in 2020, and he was charged with over 30 counts. Now, these have been pled down, and some of them have been reduced. So one of two things have happened. Either A, he's cooperating with law enforcement to help bring the case against Richard Allen, or B, he pleaded down so they wouldn't have to take the resources and time to take him to trial. But what a creeper. And just another red flag, another reason not to let your kids have unfettered access to online, because you don't know what kind of predator is hiding behind a seemingly innocent or pretty or handsome face. Kevin Klein confessed to having contact, and he spoke to Libby on Instagram and on Snapchat. So he had contact with her. So we need to know, how does Keegan line up with Richard Allen? So how did law enforcement get him? Well, we know that Richard Allen's neighbors saw police searching his house 2 weeks ago. We know law enforcement reportedly towed away his SUV. We know law enforcement left Richard Allen's house with several of his belongings, including clothes, books, a shopping bag, and a shoebox. We also know that law enforcement dug up 2 areas in Richard's backyard. So, we know Richard was working in plain sight at a pharmacy tech at a local CVS. And you want to hear something so creepy? Libby's aunt, whose name is Tara German, was also reportedly a regular at this particular CVS store branch. And she told CNN that Richard helped her print the photos for Libby's funeral. Quote, she said, "I was a mess trying to get the images off my phone. Once they were printed, he," and she means Allen, "looked at me and said, quote, I'm not going to charge you for this." Oh my gosh. He's not going to charge her for the photos from her phone for her niece's funeral. The niece that he did away with. This guy is beyond a creeper. I just want to tell you how much I appreciate the fact that all of you guys worked so hard to keep Abby and Libby's name out there. 5.5 years of posts. Because without you guys, this case might not have been solved. Without you guys keeping this drumbeat going, keeping the names of Abby and Libby out there. Without you guys, we might never have learned what happened to these two little 13 and 14-year-old young girls. Subscribe.